Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guide. This is the next episode or the first episode of our new series that we are starting. And this is going to be a series if you want to learn programming in C++ from scratch. You do not need to know anything about programming or anything related for that for in order to follow along with this series. This is a completely beginner series about learning programming using the C++ programming language. So you could apply most of the principles to other languages as well. So we are going to start from the complete scratch, and in this video we are going to kind of set up our stuff and kind of download everything that we need to. So there are a bunch of different options if you want to have a good IDE or integrated development environment for C++. Now you might be wondering what an IDE is. Well, it's basically something like this. For example, this is Visual Studio. Now this basically allows you to edit, debug and build your code in a much more easier way. It allows you to do everything with clicks of a buttons, and allow you to set up complex projects and access them easily, instead of like having to go through a lot of different because if you don't use an IDE you will have to do a lot of different stuff like use make files and a bunch of other stuff that's kind of annoying. So this basically makes everything really easy, and also makes it's very efficient. This IDE, especially Visual Studio, and other ones are quite efficient too. It's anyway more efficient than trying to program without an IDE. So I would highly recommend using an IDE. And in here we have got Visual Studio, and Visual Studio is an IDE developed by Microsoft. But it's still a pretty good IDE despite that. And you can see that there are three versions here. One is Visual Studio, which is the original one for Windows, and there is another one for Mac. Now these are pretty similar, even though most people would prefer Xcode for Mac. You can still use Visual Studio if you want to. Now this Visual Studio Code is basically a text editor that you can add extensions to, and it's not really like a full-blown IDE. I mean, it's turning into a full-blown IDE. Actually you could call it a full-blown IDE if you install all of the extensions, but it is not the same as Visual Studio. And but if you are not on Windows or Mac, that is you are on Linux, then you will need to install Visual Studio Code and then install whatever compiler you want and just use that along with it. But if you are on Mac, then just you can go under and hit download Visual Studio for Mac, and if you are on Windows, then you can go download Visual Studio and use Community, Professional or Enterprise. So after downloading that, you can see just click the download button, and it should take you to the correct website, and your download should start, and it should download a Visual Studio installer, and we are going to open up that installer in a second. And you can see that for this Mac, this is basically it's quite similar to the original one, except the fact it has got a couple of changes. And you can still kind of follow along with this series even if you are on Mac, and you can also follow along with this series if you are on other platforms, or you are using other IDEs, or you are using Visual Studio Code and just installing the correct extension. So yeah, this is pretty much it for now, and let's just wait for a little while, and let's just open up the installer of Visual Studio. Alright, so once you have installed that, now already I have got Visual Studio installed for me, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So what you need to do is you need to go under available and just click on the community version, which is free. Just click on install. Now that is not here for me because I've already installed it, but once you do that, you should see a screen something like this. It should say getting things ready, and once it does that, you can basically have got a lot of options to choose from. Now these options are basically about what kind of stuff are you going to include in your C++, your Visual Studio installation. So in here you can see what you should include for C++ development is you can choose desktop development with C++. You must choose this option. Make sure that that option is checked. Now what I also recommend is that you choose game development with C so just choose that, and you can also choose Linux development with C++ if you want to, so that's not important. And if you want to make games using Unreal Engine or something like that, then you can choose game development with C++ as well, or just desktop development should be enough. And obviously you can also choose mobile development if you want. And here just there should be an install option, so just hit install and just wait for it to set up. And once it does that, you can open up Visual Studio. So yeah, this was pretty much it for this video. In the next video we'll actually start doing the programming and create a new project. So make sure to like and subscribe and share this video with other people, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.